My name is Alex Johnmeyer. My pronouns are he, him. And I am so excited to be a part of this Encore presentation. I made my way here because I won Best in Show in last month's exhibit. I would say multimedia artist. I use either watercolor and ink or acrylic, but sometimes I use texture media, and I like my pieces to be really textured, and that's kind of what I've become known for here in St. Louis. So, two of the pieces are from my solo show that I had at Third Degree Glass Factory 2 years ago, and that show was about the contrast between living in the city and living in the country, and how even though we as humans have this connective tissue between our experiences, the experiences can differ, though, depending on the demographic of where you live. So, for example, one of the pieces that I have is an old rusty farm, work truck, and the grass is very textured and coming up around the edge of the tire, and you can see the lovely blues and the raised lettering that I piped on. I use piping bags like what a cake decorator would use, and I piped the word superior onto the side of the tire, and then I used a specific texture media called coarse pumice gel, and it feels very hard and gritty, kind of like sidewalk or pavement, and so that rust really has this gritty pavement texture to it. And then another painting that I did is of a restaurant that was open for 50 years called Bobber Cafe, and it just recently closed, and so all of my paintings are from my own photography, and because I want to share the moments of my life with people. So I don't frame the photos. I just, out in my life, I see a moment that I think looks really cool that could potentially become a really great painting, and I take that picture. And so this particular day, it was my husband's grandma's 90th birthday party, and we were at this restaurant, as I mentioned, Bobber Cafe, and I was like, ooh, this place is cool. And so I go over, and I kind of and this old trucker, he's obviously mid-shift and needing some dinner and some coffee, and he looks over at me and he goes, "You want me to smile?" And I said, no, just pretend I'm not here. And he goes, "All right." And he lifts up the cup to take a drink, and that's when I take the picture. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a transgender adult, male, masculine, non-binary masculine. And so what that means is that I was born female, but I don't identify as female, I identify as a man. So what this painting is about specifically is I chose to put masculine colors, or colors that I perceive as more masculine, such as brown and red, in the voluptuous round vessel. So this cognac glass, technically, is what it is. This cognac glass is very curvy and voluptuous and sexy, and so I put the masculine colors in that vessel to represent a transhuman who is in a feminine vessel but does not feel that way, does not identify that way. And then I put the more feminine colors, such as lavender and pink, in this very straight masculine vessel, so to represent trans-feminine humans. So these are technically mannequins. I took this photo late one night walking around Frontenac Mall. This painting for me is about the erasure of transgender identities and how society in general does not respect the pronouns of transgender adults. So we, in my opinion, as a society, we assign pronouns and gender to inanimate objects. We perceive gender on everything. I mean, not necessarily a chair, but for example, toys and cars and clothing and, yes, mannequins. And so it's my feeling that society is much more respectful of the pronouns of, for example, a dog than they are of transhumans. So someone comes into your home and they've never met your dog, and they're like, "Oh my God, she's so cute!" And then you're like, "Oh, actually it's a he." And they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I did not, I'm so sorry. Of course, shh, yes, okay." But whenever it comes to transgender humans, and I tell someone, "Hi, my name is Alex, my pronouns are he, him," and I tell them that 3 times, not in a forceful way or a pushy way, but I tell them my pronouns are he, him, and then they continue to call me she, her repeatedly, despite me being very clear about my pronouns. Other people would perceive these mannequins as female because of their shape. But if this mannequin, if it could talk, could say, well, actually, my pronouns are they, them, or he, him, then I feel that perhaps we should respect that. I would say my goal in being an artist is to show people, no matter their age or gender or class, that art is for everyone, and that we all have moments in our life that speak of who we are. And my goal has always been to share the moments of my life with the people in my life. I have customers technically all over the world who have my paintings, and it means so much to me that people in other states and other nations, that my art means something to them too. One of my favorite artists is Chuck Close. He suffered a seizure. It was actually a spinal artery collapse. And after that incident, he had changed the way that he worked. He went from creating large-scale, incredibly detailed pieces to being forced to work only from a wheelchair. And they built a scaffolding that raises and lowers left to right so that he can continue to work. But his pieces evolved from being incredibly photorealistic to now what he refers to as hot dogs and donuts. But if you still take a step back, you can see the portrait come to life. And the reason Chuck Close means so much to me is because I have heart disease and some other chronic illnesses. And Chuck has a quote that says, "Inspiration is for amateurs. The rest of us just show up and get to work." And that quote, I have it written and printed and on the wall of my studio because there are days that I don't feel well, that I'm tired. But I still have clients to which I'm so thankful for. I still have deadlines. I still have commissions. I still have shows. And I get to work. I do my best. So words of wisdom would be, sometimes art isn't easy. Sometimes it's not effortless. But for me, it's always been worth it. I would especially say to anyone that, is LGBT, your voice is needed. Your voice is important.